You can't talk yourself out of a belief you don't even know you have, especially when it's something like, I'm unlovable, I deserved it, or the world isn't safe. In trauma, depression, and PTSD, people often get stuck in rigid, high-level beliefs, filters that shape what we notice, what we ignore, and what we expect from ourselves and others. If that sounds familiar, we talked about it in the last video, how the brain predicts the world and how psychedelics loosen those predictions. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. This video builds on it. Now, in things like depression, medications like SSRIs can help. They dull the symptoms, lower anxiety, lift mood, and stabilize sleep. But the real healing usually happens in therapy, because therapy helps you explore what's underneath the symptoms, the meaning, the memory, the belief system. Think of it like this. If you injure your back, you might take pain meds to get through the day. But to actually heal, you'll probably try physical therapy. And most of the time, that works. But sometimes physical therapy isn't enough. Sometimes the injury is deeper and you need surgery. Well, the same goes for the psyche. Sometimes therapy hits a wall. The defenses are too strong. The beliefs are too embedded. The fear is too high. People say, I understand it, but I don't believe it. I know it wasn't my fault, but it still feels like it was. This is where psychedelics can help. They don't replace therapy, they amplify it. They're like psychological surgery, especially when paired with support and integration. Freud had a word for this: repression. When we can't handle something emotionally, the mind pushes it down. But he also talked a lot about ego defenses, strategies like denial, projection, avoidance, all ways the mind protects its version of reality. Now, if that sounds a little bit like the high-level predictions and filter we talked about in the last video, it's because it is. Psychedelics seem to lower these defenses too, and at the same time let repressed material rise into awareness. This means we don't just remember what happened, we feel it, reframe it, and sometimes we see it in a totally new light. And that's important, because insight is more than just a thought. It's the moment that something clicks inside you. It wasn't my fault. That wasn't love. I've been carrying this for too long. In fact, insight is one of the strongest predictors of actual therapeutic change, and psychedelics seem to make it more accessible by temporarily lifting the veil. Cognitive behavioral therapy explains this too. We all hold core beliefs, like I'm not enough or I'm unsafe. These drive automatic thoughts and behaviors, often without us realizing. In CBT, we try to challenge those thoughts with logic, evidence, and repetition. But when the belief is deep, that's not always enough. And you see, psychedelics seem to go straight to the core, soften it, and allow something new to take root. There's a reason trauma is especially hard to treat: fear. In PTSD, for example, the moment we get close to the memory, the body panics. The fear system, especially the amygdala, overwhelms us. We shut down, dissociate, or avoid. This is where MDMA, a type of psychedelic called an empathogen, is uniquely helpful. It doesn't just turn down fear, it turns up love, connection, and empathy. In that state, people can revisit trauma without being consumed by it. Instead of shame, they feel warmth. Instead of fear, they feel supported. That opens the door for healing. There's a term for this in trauma therapy: memory reconsolidation. It means revisiting an old memory, but in a new emotional context, one that's safe, supported, and open. You can think of it as exposure therapy meets humanistic therapy. You face what happened, but you do it with compassion, not just control. And when that happens, the emotional charge of the memory can actually change. And sometimes in that open state, something even more unexpected happens. Something mystical. People describe feelings of unity, timelessness, connection to something larger. A sense of meaning, peace, or love that feels deeper than words. Research shows that these mystical type experiences are strongly correlated with psychological healing. Not because they're magical, but because they can help us reconnect to ourselves, to each other, and to life. So maybe healing isn't about coping better. Maybe it's about going back to what hurt and finally seeing it clearly, feeling it, and letting it change. If this resonated with you, like and subscribe. In future videos, we'll explore insight, identity, the self, and so much more.